Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Crack UPSC CSE English. In our Inspire crash course, we are studying polity part. Now, today we'll continue with directive principles of state policy. So, India's largest e-learning platform, Unacademy, will provide you guidance for the UPSC Civil Services. You can opt for the subscription like plus subscription and iconic subscription, so in which you will get daily live classes, structured courses, unlimited access for live and recorded classes, along with mock test which will help you to evaluate yourself during the preparation. We 100 plus top educators will guide you throughout the process of preparation. So download Unacademy Learning app today and start your preparation. It's me, Rushikesh Inamdar, having experienced more than 8 years in the field of guiding for UPSC Civil Services. You can join our Telegram group using this link, and you can follow me on Unacademy app using this link. Yes, those aspirants wants to start their preparation with modules or subjects. They have option for 15,000 plus courses, and they can choose any one of them and start their preparation like polity, governance, IR, history, current affairs, geography, Indian economy, science tech, ecology, environment, or like art and culture, answer writing, and NCERT summaries as well. So you will get this freedom to choose any topic or any module to start your preparation. We will cover complete syllabus in comprehensive manner. For plus subscription, you can use referral code RBI Live to get 10% discount. Yes, for iconic subscription, again you can use referral code RBI Live to get 10% discount. In this iconic subscription, you will get personal coach. He will guide you throughout the preparation. We will provide you personalized feedback on regular basis. So subscribe today and start your preparation. If we are talking about batches, we are going to start our batches from 8th February. So you have option to choose 6 months, 1 year, 2 years batches along with NCERT batches and weekend batches as well. Right? Now, just have a look on our courses and subscription. Do not forget to use code RBI Live to get 10% discount on your subscription. You can opt this subscription for 12 months, 24 months and 36 months. So dear friends, subscribe these courses and start your preparation. So now in the next part of directive principle of state policy, we'll start continuation with her last lecture. So already we have seen articles related with the directive principles of state policy. Yes, so now we'll start next topic, that is utility of directive principles. Yes guys, so the constitution itself declares that the directive principles are fundamental to governance of the country. Alright, so these are the non-justiciable, but these are the fundamental to governance of the country. Now we'll see experts' opinion and what they said related to the directive principles. So according to L.M. Singhvi, an eminent jurist and diplomat, said that the directive principles or directives are the life-giving provisions of the Constitution. They considered the stuff of the Constitution and its philosophy of social justice. Yes, remember the term, guys, philosophy of social justice. Now, another former Chief Justice of India, MC Chagla, is of the opinion that related with the directive principles, if all these principles are fully carried out, our country would indeed be a heaven on earth. So see the importance of directive principles, friends, right? So India would then be not only democracy in the political sense, but also a welfare state looking after the welfare of its citizens. Yes, guys. And next comment from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had pointed out that the directive principles or directives have great value because they laid down that the goal of Indian polity is as economic democracy as distinguished from political democracy. Right? Now, one more expert, Granville Austin, historian of our constitution, we can say, opinion that the directive principles are aimed at furthering the goals of the social revolution or to foster this revolution by establishing the conditions necessary for its achievement. Yes. So we are just studying opinions from the experts related to the directive principles. Now, Sir B. N. Rao, the constitutional advisor to the Constituent Assembly, stated that the directive principles are intended as moral prospects for the authorities of the state. They have at least an educative value. Yes. Now next is, according to MC Setalwad, the former Attorney General of India, the directive principles, although confer no legal rights and create no legal remedies, are significant and useful in the following ways. So we'll study these ways mentioned by MC Setalwad. Yes. So they are like an instrument of instructions or general recommendations addressed to all authorities in the Indian Union. Right? Now, they have served as useful beacon lights to the courts. They have helped the courts in exercising their power of judicial review, that is, the power to determine the constitutional validity of a law. Yes, the concept already we have studied it in the last lecture. Yes, now next observation is that they form the dominating background to all state action, legislative or executive, and also a guide to the courts in some respects. So just remember these points, guys, related with the directive principles. Next, they amplify the preamble, which solemnly resolve to secure to all citizens of India justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Right? So these DPSPs ensure and promotes these qualities of or these qualities mentioned in the preamble. Okay, characters: justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now we'll see like roles of the directives, in which they facilitate substantiality and continuity in domestic and foreign policies in political, economic, and social spheres in spite of the changes of the party in power. Okay, so these are the role of directives. Next, they are supplementary. Yes, they are supplementary to the fundamental rights of the citizens, and they are intended to fill in the vacuum in part 3 by providing for social and economic rights. Alright, now their implementation creates a favorable atmosphere for the full and proper enjoyment of the fundamental rights by the citizen. So, here we can say that the implementation of these directives will create a favorable atmosphere or healthy atmosphere for the full and proper enjoyment of the fundamental rights by the citizens. It means political democracy without economic democracy has no meaning. Right now, these directives enable the opposition to exercise influence and control over the operations of the government, and the opposition can blame the ruling party on the ground that its activities are opposed to the directives. So here, these directives will work as a checkmate on the work of the government, and opposition can exercise these directives. Alright, so next, these directives serves as a crucial test for the performance of the government, and the people can examine the policies and programs of the government in the light of these constitutional declarations. So we can say it will promote good governance in our country, right? So the people can examine the policies and programs of the government. Yes, these principles, directive principles, serve as common political manifesto that is a ruling party, irrespective of its political ideology, has to recognize the fact that these principles are intended to its guide, philosopher, and friend in its legislative and executive acts. So these are, we can say, importance of the DPSPs mentioned in our constitution. Now, next important topic, that is conflict between fundamental rights and directive principles. Yes, the justiciability of fundamental rights and non-justiciability of directive principles on the one hand, and the moral obligation of state to implement directive principles under Article 37 on the other hand, have led to a conflict between the two since the commencement of the constitution. So we know the nature of fundamental rights and directive principles like justiciable and non-justiciable respectively. So from the commencement of the constitution, it led to the conflict between these two. Okay, so now we'll see few cases or case studies with this issue, right? So here we can study first case, like in the Champakam Durai Ranjan case 1951, the Supreme Court ruled that in case of any conflict between the fundamental rights and the directive principles, the former would prevail. So it declared that the directive principles have to conform to and run as subsidiary to the fundamental rights. So in this case, Supreme Court ruled that, or declared that, the directive principles have to conform to and to run as subsidiary. Yes, subsidiary to the fundamental rights. Alright, now in next case, Golaknath case 1967, the Supreme Court ruled that the Parliament cannot take away or abridge any of the fundamental rights which are sacrosanct in nature. In other words, the court held that the fundamental rights cannot be amended for the implementation of the directive principles. Yes, friends, just write down the statement that is the fundamental rights cannot be amended for the implementation of the directive principles. So, the Golaknath case 1967, by enacting the 24th Amendment Act 1971 and the 25th Amendment Act 1971, in which the 24th Amendment Act declared that the Parliament has the power to abridge or take away any of the fundamental rights by enacting constitutional amendment acts, right? So the 25th Amendment Act inserted a new Article 31C which contained the following two provisions, in which first, no law which seek to implement the socialist directive principles specified in Article 39B, 22 and C23 shall be void on the ground of contravention of fundamental rights conferred by Article 14, that is equality before law and equal protection of laws, and Article 19, protection of six rights in respect of speech, assembly, movement, etc. Or Article 31, that is right to property. So, no law which seeks to implement the socialist directive principles specified in these articles. Now, this 25th Amendment Act, which contain next provision is that no law containing a declaration for giving effect to such a policy shall be questioned in any court on the ground that it does not give effect to such a policy. Now here we'll see important case, that is Keshwanand Bharati case 1973. Yes guys, already we have studied this case. So the Supreme Court declared that the above second provision of Article 31C as unconstitutional and invalid on the ground that judicial review is a basic feature of the Constitution and hence cannot be taken away. So in the case of Keshwanand Bharati, Supreme Court declared that the second provision as per 25th Amendment Act, that is Article 31C, as unconstitutional and invalid on the ground that judicial review is a basic feature of the Constitution. Alright guys, so remember these amendments and important judgment in the Keshwanand Bharati case 1973. Now, in that case itself, the court stated that the first provision of Article 31C was held to be constitutional and valid, right? So this provision of Article 31C was held to be constitutional and valid. Now, the 42nd Amendment Act 1976 extended the scope of the above first provision of the Article 31C by including within its protection any law to implement any of the directive principles and not merely those specified in Article 39B and C. Right. So this extension was declared as unconstitutional and invalid by the Supreme Court in Minerva Mills case 1980. All right. So now we'll see this Minerva Mills case 1980. The Supreme Court held that the Indian Constitution is founded on the bedrock of the balance between the fundamental rights and the directive principles. Right. So, in the Minerva Mills case 1980, the Supreme Court held that the Indian Constitution is founded on the bedrock of the balance between the fundamental rights and the directive principles. So, here we can say with the important role of fundamental rights and DPSPs in our constitution, right? So this harmony and balance between the two is an essential feature of the basic structure of the constitution. Therefore the present position is that the fundamental rights enjoy supremacy over the directive principles. Yes, any doubt? So guys, just remember these points because it will clear your concept as well. So next, implementation of directive principles. Now we'll see implementation of directive principles. So since 1950, the successive governments at the center and in the states have made several laws to formulate various programs for implementing the directive principle. So we'll see these laws and their efforts to implementing directive principles. Now, first, the Planning Commission was established in 1950 to take up the development of the country in a planned manner. The successive 5-year plans aimed at securing socio-economic justice and reducing inequalities of income, status, and opportunities. So in 1950, the Planning Commission was established. The main role and objective of the Planning Commission to take up the development of the country in planned manner. Okay. Now, what happened in 2015? The Planning Commission was replaced by a new body called Niti Aayog. Right. So, this Planning Commission was replaced by Niti Aayog, National Institution for Transforming India. National Institution for Transforming India. Right. Now, second, almost all the states have passed land reform laws to bring changes in the agrarian society and to improve the conditions of the rural masses, in which these measures like abolition of intermediaries like zamindars, jagirdars, and inamdars, etc. Next measure is that tenancy reforms like security of tenure, fair rents, imposition of ceiling on land holdings, distribution of surplus land among the landless laborers, and cooperative farming. So these are the measures, and these are the clauses promote and passed to fulfill or improve the conditions of our farmers, that is agrarian society. Yes guys. Now next is few acts, that is Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Wages Act 1936, Payment of Bonus Act 1965, Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970, Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986, Bonded Labor System Abolition 1976, Trade Unions Act 1926, the Factories Act 1948, the Mines Act 1952, Industrial Disputes Act 1947, the Workmen's Compensation Act 1923, and so on have been enacted to protect the interest of the labor sections. So it again relates with the DPSPs. Right. So in 2006, government banned the child labor, and in 2016, the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986 was renamed as Child and Adolescent Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986. Okay. So in 2016, Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act was renamed. Now next measures, the Maternity Benefit Act 1961 and the Equal Remuneration Act 1976 have been made to protect the interests of women workers. Next measure is various measures have been taken to utilize the financial resources for promoting the common good, and these include nationalization of life insurance 1956, the nationalization of 14 leading commercial banks in 1969, and nationalization of general insurance 1971, abolition of privy purses 1971, and so on. So these are the few measures taken by the government. Next measure, the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987 has established a nationwide network to provide free, competent legal aid to the poor and to organize Lok Adalat for promoting equal justice. So this Authorities Act, that is the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987, mentioned about this Lok Adalat for promoting equal justice. Alright guys, so Lok Adalat is a statutory forum for conciliatory settlement of legal disputes. It has been given the status of a civil court. Its awards are enforceable, binding on the parties, and final, as no appeal lies before any court against them. Alright, so we'll see Lok Adalat also during our course. Okay, the role of Lok Adalats and few case studies. Now next measure, Khadi and Village Industries Board, Khadi and Village Industries Commission, Small Scale Industries Board, National Small Industries Corporation, Handloom Board, Handicrafts Board, Coir Board, Silk Board, and so on have been set up for the development of the cottage industries in rural areas. Next, the Community Development Program 1952, Hill Area Development Program 1960, Drought Prone Area Program 1973, Minimum Needs Program 1974, Integrated Rural Development Program 1978, Jawahar Rozgar Yojana 1989, Swarna Jayanti Gram Rozgar Yojana 1999, Sampurna Gramin Rozgar Yojana 2001, National Rural Employment Guarantee Program 2006, and so on have been launched for raising the standard of living people. So these are the schemes. Few boards, commissions was established to raising the standard of living of people, and along with that, these are the schemes launched by the government. All right. Now, next measure, the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and the Forest Conservation Act 1980 have been enacted to safeguard the wildlife and the forests respectively. So, the Water and Air Acts have been provided the establishment of the central and state pollution control boards, which are engaged in protection and improvement of the environment. Now, the National Forest Policy 1988 aims at protection, conservation, and development of forests. So, remember this policy, the National Forest Policy 1988, which deals with the protection, conservation, and development of forests. Now, next measure, agriculture has been modernized by providing improved agriculture inputs, seeds, fertilizers, and irrigation facilities. So, various steps have also been taken to organize animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines. Alright, so these are the measures, and we can say the government enacted these laws and boards and promoted our directive principles. Okay, now few measures. Next, three-tier Panchayat Raj system at village, taluka and zila levels has been introduced to translate into reality Gandhiji's dream of every village being a republic. So, 73rd Amendment Act 1992 has been enacted to provide constitutional status and protection to these Panchayati Raj institutions. Right. Now, next, seats are reserved for SCs, STs, and other weaker sections in educational institutions, government services, and representative bodies. Right. The Untouchability Offences Act 1955, which was renamed as the Protection of Civil Rights Act in 1976, and the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989 have been enacted to protect the SCs and STs from social injustice and exploitation. Alright, now next is the 65th Constitutional Amendment Act 1990 established the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes to protect the interests of SCs and STs. Later, the 89th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2003 bifurcated this combined commission into two separate bodies, that is National Commission for Scheduled Castes and National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. Alright, so these commissions are doing their day-to-day activities and their regulations and laws related with the SCs and STs and their improvement. Alright, now next page, Various national level commissions have been established to promote and protect the social, educational, and economic interests of the weaker sections of the society. So, there are national level commissions have been established to take care of this social, economic, educational interest of the weaker sections. So, we can, just there are, I'll just read few names of these commissions, like National Commissions for Backward Classes 1993, the National Commissions for Minorities 1993, National Commission for Women 1992, and the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights 2007. So further, the 102nd Amendment Act of 2018 conferred a constitutional status on the National Commission for Backward Classes and also enlarged its functions. Right. Now, after that, in 2019, the central government issued orders providing 10% reservation 10% reservation to the economically weaker sections EWSs in admission to educational institutions and civil posts and services in the government of India. So this is a recent development. Just remember that, guys, in 2019 the central government issued orders providing 10% reservations to the economically weaker sections. Alright, so the benefit of this reservation can be availed by the persons belonging to the EWS who are not covered under any of the existing schemes of reservations for STs, SCs and OBCs. So the people or the economically weaker sections who are not covered under any of the existing schemes of reservations for SCs, STs and OBCs. So this reservation was facilitated by the 103rd Amendment Act of 2019. Yes, guys. So remember this fact, that is 103rd Amendment Act of 2019 deals with the reservation for the economically weaker section. Now, next measure, that is the Criminal Procedure Code 1973 separated the judiciary from the executive in the public services of the state. Right. So prior to this, the district authorities like the collector and the subdivisional officer and the tehsildar and so on used to exercise judicial powers along with the traditional executive powers. After the separation of the judicial powers were taken away from these executive authorities and vested in the hands of district judicial magistrates who work under the direct control of the state high court. Right. So the ancient and historic monument and archaeological sites and remains act 1951 has been enacted to protect the monuments, places and objects of national importance. So here first we have seen the Criminal Procedure Code 1973 separated the judiciary from the executive in the public services of the state. And next, the Ancient and Historical Monument and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1951 has been enacted to protect monuments, places and objects of national importance. So we can say preservation of historical footprints through these monuments, places of national importance. Alright guys, now next measure, that is primary health centers and hospitals have been established throughout the country to improve the public health. Alright, so under this directive principles we can say primary health centers and hospitals have been established throughout the country to improve the public health. So in which we can promote means the special programs have been launched to eradicate widespread diseases like malaria, TB, leprosy, AIDS, cancer, filaria, kala azar, guinea worm, yaws, Japanese encephalitis, and so on. So eradication of these widespread diseases. Now, next measure, laws to prohibit the slaughter of cows and bullocks have been enacted in some states. Some states have initiated the old age pension schemes for people above 65 years, and India has been following the policy of non-alignment and Panchashil to promote international peace and security. So all these measures related with the directive principles. So, in spite of these above steps by the central and state governments, the directive principles have not been implemented fully and effectively due to several reasons like financial resources, inadequate financial resources, unfavorable socio-economic conditions, population explosion, strained center-state relations, and so on. But if we'll see on other hand, center and state governments are promoting a theme and idea of an directive principles, right? So now next point, directives outside part 4. So apart from the directives included in the part 4, there are some other directives contained in the other parts of the constitutions like claims of SCs and STs to services. It means the claims of the members of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes shall be taken into consideration consistently with the maintenance of efficiency of administration in the making of appointments to services and post in connection with the affairs of the union or a state, which is mentioned in the article 335 in part 15. Next is instruction in mother tongues. So it shall be endeavored of every state and every local authority within the state to provide adequate facilities for instructions in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to linguistic minority groups mentioned in the article 350A in part 17. Now, next is development of the Hindi language. So it shall be the duty of the union to promote the spread of the Hindi language and to develop it so that it may serve as a medium of expression for all the elements of the composite culture of India mentioned in the article 350 per. So the above directives are also non-justiciable in nature. However, they are also given equal importance and attention by the judiciary on the ground that all parts of the constitution must be read together, means along with FR and DPSPs. Alright guys, so now after this DPSPs will see all the articles related to directive principles of state policy at a glance. Now, we have studied Article 36, that is definition of state in part 4, Article 37, application of principles contained in this part, Article 38 described as state to secure a social order for the promotion of welfare of the people. Article 39 certain principles of policy to be followed by the state. Article 39A equal justice and free legal aid. Article 40 organization of village panchayats. Article 41 right to work to education and to public assistance in certain cases. Article 42 provision for just and human conditions of work and maternity relief. Article 43 living wages for workers. Next, Article 43A participation of workers in management of industries. Article 43B promotion of cooperative societies. Article 44 uniform civil code for the citizens. Article 45 provision for early childhood care and education to children below the age of 6 years. Article 46 promotion of educational and economic interests of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and other weaker sections. Now, Article 47 duty of the state raise the level of nutrition and the standard of living to improve public health. Right. Article 48 described organization of agriculture and animal husbandry. 48A deals with the protection and improvement of environment and safeguarding of forests and wildlife. Article 49 protection of monuments and places and objects of national importance. Article 50 separation of judiciary from executive. Article 51 promotion of international peace and security. So guys, we have studied the theoretical part of the DPSPs. Now during the course, number of times we will link these DPSPs with the various schemes and all that, okay, announced by the central or state government. So it's all about the directive principles of the state policy. Now you can revise all this part and you can like, share and subscribe these videos and our channel. So till the time, keep studying, keep revising. Alright guys, so all the best, take care.